Joe's in the house, Kamala's in the house, Uncle Joe's in the house, Kamala's in the house. I said VOTE on November 3, Biden and Harris, cause that Donald Trump weak. Yeah, I'm voting for Biden and Harris. Mail-in ballot or the polls for Biden and Harris. Gotta save the nation's soul with Biden and Harris. Joseph Biden is the next in charge, taking back that White House yard. Kamala Harris is his running mate, fighting back against QAnon. They go low, but we go high. Look at his record, look at her drive. Boost the morale, close the divide. This country is hurt, Biden's your guy. Trump don't cheat, ain't no surprise. Killing the post office from the inside. He trying to stop your big fat vote so we can keep telling lies. What a team, it's a dream. Make me wanna shout and scream. Pence and Trump, so obscene. But Joe and Kamala, so fresh and so clean.
Gotta be H&B, vote on November 3. Don't stay home for more years of the lunacy. I do not wanna do it, I'm about to lose my sanity.
But Joe is so boring.
Oh really? Well, that's cool with me. Statesmanship, they both grip. Climate change, gonna get that fixed. Military budget, gonna get more change. Trump saying, gotta worry about it, ain't thing. Donate your cash or your time for Biden and Harris. You about to die, stay alive. Vote Biden and Harris, so love the nation. Who gon' save it? Vote Biden and Harris. If you want change, send your vote in. Vote Biden and Harris.
Look, we need a straight shooter, we need a case closer, need to free from jail all the weed smokers. We need Trump fired cause he's mediocre. With Republicans, they gon' reach over. If you in college and earning your credits, they'll take your loan, lower your payments. Got a small business, well, they're trying to help it. All of the farmers, they'll be well protected. They won't take your guns or leave you broke. Joe and Kamala, bringing back hope. They're going to hunt down a new cure for corona and not treat this thing like a hoax. Their campaign's on fire, they move about calmly while Trump has no focus. He moves like a zombie, he's racist like the cops in Wisconsin. And let's not forget he supported the Nazis.
Kamala, she a boss chick, aka Seaweed. BP pick little girls, they can dream it. Teaming up with Joe, give us something to believe in. About to be a fight, Trump and Pence take a beating. The White House, Joe's the one we needin'. Been up in there once, he's a proven leader. Big P stands for presidential, making good decisions and he's got credentials. Donald tried man, but he can't hang. His response to Rona caused death and pain. Got non-believers making grave visits. If you don't believe me, ask Herman Cain.
Yeah, I'm voting for Biden and Harris. Mail-in ballot or the polls for Biden and Harris. Gotta save the nation's soul with Biden and Harris. Get back on top, gotta swap for Biden and Harris. Mike Pence and Donald, they both flop. Vote Biden and Harris. I'm talking bah, bah, bah. That's Biden and Harris. This Kofefi's gonna stop with Biden and Harris. Yeah. Uncle Joe's in the house, Kamala's in the house, Uncle Joe's in the house, Kamala's in the house, Uncle Joe's in the house, Kamala's in the house.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show, courtesy of introvertdatingsuccess.com. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show, and that is the website where you can go to learn how to date as your authentic introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. And on today's show, we're actually having an interview with the author Nick Shelton. He is the author of a book called The Introvert's Guide to World Domination. And what we're going to be talking about today is just some of his experience being an introvert, as well as some of the various social situations that introverts may find themselves in and how to become more comfortable. Because obviously, as an introvert that wants to date, that is a major social situation that you're going to be getting yourself into. And if you are nervous about it or you're hesitant or anxious, then obviously that's not going to help you. But it's also beneficial to know how to handle that, so that way you can also handle other relationships in your life, whether it's friendships, close family relationships, etc., etc. So first, let's introduce Nick. So like I said, he is the author of The Introvert's Guide to World Domination, and he has been fine-tuning the craft of effective, high-level social strategy and networking for over 20 years now. Beginning with his time in the United States Air Force, Nick has learned skills that were indispensable to his journey. coupled with the extensive research and 15 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. Nick finally cracked the code and developed tools that gave him the confidence to flourish in social situations. Nick has successfully built a strong international network of friends, colleagues, and associates, and continues to teach introverts how to upgrade their lives and lifestyles and navigate social events with ease. Welcome, Nick, to the show. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I love this show. I love what you guys talk about. It's a real pleasure to be here.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you reaching out to me to come on the show because, I do the show solo, but it's always nice to be able to have other introverts on the show to talk about their experience in a variety of ways, whether it's through dating, whether it's through business, whether it's just through their general life, and et cetera. So, just before we get into it, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, how you got to where you're at. Floor is yours.
Okay, well, I am originally from Houston, Texas, but the family moved here in way back when I was in second grade. That kicks off my journey, because I was really shy and socially awkward and introverted, conserving my energy. So I didn't socialize really well. So when we started the new school, I didn't talk. And so the teachers, I don't think this would happen right now in current times, but the teachers just assumed that I was hearing impaired and they put me in the deaf kids class, the hearing impaired kids class.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that was actually really great because there's only 4 of us in there and we didn't have to talk, right? So we're just sitting in there learning sign language and playing. And then when my mother found out, she was angry and she said, "No, he can hear, he's fine." So they kicked me back out in the general population where I had to survive with the rest of the kids. And, so that was a struggle. And then, through middle school, high school, just like everybody else, just naturally struggles to fit in and be seen and heard. I had those same struggles, which we'll get into in a little while. And then I was like, hey, what can I do to be seen? I want to, there's different kinds of introverts and, different levels and different comfort zones. And for me, I wanted to be able to do a lot of great things, to be around the people that I wanted to be around and to be seen. And then, for the time periods that I wanted to, and then retreat
Yes.
and get my energy back. But
that's interesting you bring that up because a lot of people think that introverts just don't want to be around people. And it's like, that's not really true. And your experience can dictate that that's not a thing. You still want it to be liked.
yes,
You still want to be able to determine when you're going to have your own time.
right. I wanted it on my own time. And so, I tried a lot of things and it wasn't really working. I tried, and we can go deeper into this if you like. I tried alcohol, which everyone tries. Oh, maybe this will help. I said, hey, if I had some money, that'll do it. And then that didn't really do it. I was the same guy, just had nicer stuff. But then finally, I was able to turn it around and build, the life that I wanted to through these techniques that we're going to talk about in your show. And then people would come to me and say, hey, I would like to meet some people. I would like to go and be able to do this. What do? I have a work conference coming up. I have a holiday party that I need to go to. I'm going to take my kids to the soccer practice and there's other parents there and I'm going to have to engage with them. What do I do? So then I said, hey, enough people kept asking me about this and I had the answers and started helping people. And that's where we got the momentum and led me to where I am today. So I've been building my connections and network internationally and helping people do the same. And the more people I help, the more my own network grows and their networks grow. And it's just, it's a really rewarding experience to be able to help people out and share what I've learned over the years.
Which is good because obviously, even though as an introvert, you understand too that in this world you're going to be dealing amongst extroverts and having to meet people, and it's kind of like not having those skills is a very scary thing, and you can feel isolated if you don't have those skills. Correct?
Right. Yes. Introverts are not extroverts, and they shouldn't have to behave like them in order to get ahead and get the same opportunities.
Amen
At least
that.
I believe that.
That's so true. Now I went through the book and I noticed. Yeah, this definitely pertains to dating because earlier in the book, there's an interesting story that you have in high school where you were trying to call a girl who was in your English class to ask her out, and only to find out that she didn't even know that you existed. So, like, how did being an introvert play into that and that particular experience? And then what did it teach you about your presence in the lives of those that are around you?
Yes, that's a really good question. That painful past. I think we can all relate to it. Wanting to ask someone out, and you're thinking, well, I got to do this, but then the last thing you expect when you finally do it is they don't even know that you exist. You hear about songs like that. Oh, they didn't know I was alive, but when it really happens to you, that's really not cool. So for me, it let me know that, oh, I sort of was wanting to blend in at times, but I didn't know I was that successful at blending in, that I was blending in so much that someone that I was not only in that girl's class, but I had classes with her for years. We had classes together,
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know how she would not know that I existed, but, it let me know, hey, I need to do something to at least be noticed, stand out a little bit, because the especially with your audience about wanting to know about dating, we all know that the person that steps up and is more in the spotlight, they end up getting the girl. They end up getting the opportunities because they're stepping up into it. And if you're saying, well, I'm just kind of hang back here and blend in, then you miss out. You miss out on the
Mm.
girl. You miss out on the opportunities. And not because you don't deserve it, but just because that other person who might not be nearly as cool as you, they just happen to step up. So I learned that, this was handicapping me in a way. I wasn't trying to be this guy that walks in the room, hey, everybody, look at me, that sort of thing. But I wanted to at least be known in that situation in the classroom. So at least she would know who I was. She could still say no, but at least when I call, know who it is that you're saying no to.
Right, right,
So
right.
so I knew at that point I'm going to have to do some things differently so that at least people know that I exist, that I'm around, and that I have that voice. And then, I don't have to be the most popular person. I just need to have people know that I'm there. And I think
Right.
that we all can relate to that. We all want people to at least acknowledge that we exist.
Like, that's half the battle. It's like, oh, if you know I'm here, then you can, obviously interact with me and not feel like I'm a stranger when I'm coming up to you because you've seen me before or you know
Right.
that I'm around. Yeah. Now I mentioned at the top of the show that you eventually went into the United States Air Force. What made you make that decision, and then what, if anything, were things that you learned during that time that might have helped you out, whether it be through certain disciplines or through social situations, etc.?
Okay, so I decided to go in just because I really wanted to travel. I wanted to go and see things, and I didn't see a way that I was going to be able to do that normally.
Makes sense.
So I said, "Oh, well, if I join the Air Force, then I'll get to travel." And I did get to travel. And
Awesome.
so that really opened my world up, made me more. That's when I first became an international guy, is with the Air Force. Went throughout Asia and Central and South America, and that really helped me out. But the key thing that I took away from that is the ability. What the military does is they take these complex things and they break them down into these really simple steps that everyone can do. And so it's things like folding your t-shirts. There's a process for everything, and everybody learns it. So whether you are some genius that should be wiring the engines of the space shuttle, or if you are barely able to put Legos together, you can still fold a shirt. You can fold it this certain way because they break it down. And everything in the military, they break it down into these steps. And so what I was able to take from that is, in this networking and social game, when you're trying to talk to people, there's all of this stuff that people normally, in a lot of other literature out there and what people try to teach you, you're trying to memorize. They say, go and do this and do this. And you have to try to, well, what am I supposed to do? But if you break it down into these basic steps, then anyone can do it if it's broken down properly. And so that's what my takeaway from the military was, take things that might be complicated and break them down into simple steps. And then it is really easy to digest for everybody. And then we can all excel in this journey in being able to get our communication down the way it's supposed to be.
Right. So in terms of helping out other introverts, it's basically like trying to take like this big complicated thing and like say, this is the process you can go through to become more comfortable, become less anxious, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So instead of saying, hey, and it's not, once again, it's not like you flip a switch. So tomorrow morning, now you're yachting with billionaires or something. No, it's not like that. It's, there's steps. So you say, okay, here's what you can do today. Here's how you start, and just simple things. And then slowly it just builds, and it's so anyone can do it. So it's not just this overwhelming thing. Like, how do I get from here to there? Well, you just start with this step, then you start with this step, and then you just keep going. And then next thing you know, you say, oh, I've folded a shirt, right?
You really like shirts. So but getting to that point, obviously, you had to go through some trials and tribulations. What was the breakthrough turning point for you? Like, I know for me, for example, my turning point in the whole dating thing was like, I actually failed my first senior year of college over a girl who I was so heartbroken over that I just like didn't do any work and was just completely just depressed about it. And I was like, oh, I gotta like change this. This cannot be happening. So what was that moment for you where you were like, it went from like a situation where you weren't really happy with the way your life was going or how you were communicating as an introvert to where you were able to like pass that threshold?
Right. So for me, it was that it came down to a certain night where I'd gotten out of the Air Force, and you've heard about people that don't adjust back into society quite right. I was one of those people. And yes. So I did have a fiance at the time, broke up, that broke off. She broke up with me. Then, I also had declared bankruptcy at that same time. And I was working as a security guard, an armed security guard at a hospital. And if you know anything about security guards, people don't respect security guards. I respect security guards, but people go out of their way to disrespect security guards. So all of this is happening. Plus, people all day are, messing with me. Hey, rent a cop. You couldn't pass the real cop test and all that. I never wanted to be a real cop. What?
Oh, that really happens? Oh, I thought
yes, that really happens. No, that's real. That really happens.
Oh,
and so every day this stuff is happening. And so one day I was just sitting there and I said, my life wasn't supposed to be like this. I had all these ways that I wanted it to be, and it went this whole other direction, and I couldn't see how I could get it to be the way that I wanted to. So I said, well, I think that I'll hit the reset button and I'll just end my life. So that night I was planning to end my life, and I heard, before I did it, I heard a very clear voice in my head that said, no one's coming to save you. You have to save your own life. And I said, well, how would I do that? And I just sat there, and then it kind of came to me that, they say your network is your net worth. They're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around, and show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I was thinking, okay, well, the people that I'm spending the most time around, although I do like those people, they're not the people that I need to be around. I need to be around people that push me to be my very best, that are like in positions that I would like to be. So then, some of their habits will rub off on me, and, it'll also enable me to have mentors and things like that. And I said, well, I think I know how to do that, actually. So then I started thinking on how I learned to navigate social situations. And I said, I haven't been applying this. I should start applying this. So I started applying that, and I started seeing results. And then that got me more into it. And I started, it turned so that night I made a decision. Hey, I'm going to change my life tonight and start doing things that are going to put me in the orbit of the people that I want to be around. And so that once I can do that, then everything should change, right? And
Right.
it does. It works. So, I tried it, and then everything started changing once I started changing the people that I would put myself around. And I think that also will apply to your audience's interest in dating. If you can put yourself in these situations around the people that you would like to be around, then it makes it much easier than just trying to be over here in a totally different area. Being like, hey, I want to be, hey, excuse me, does anybody want to? No, so you got to get there. So that was my turning point that night when I made that decision.
And it's interesting because you said you knew the things you needed to do to make that happen, but yet at this point you had not done those things. And I think I've told my audience before, it's like, for men that are not that great at dating, it's like part of that is a choice. Like part of you is emphatically not choosing to be good, whether it's you're holding on to your old ways, or the thing you should be doing, but this way over here feels more comfortable in what you're used to, and then this way over here is scary, so you just keep doing the same stuff, not getting the results you want. So it's interesting you said that you decided to make a choice to now apply these things.
Yes.
And then do it and it working for you. So that seems like it was a barrier that was, what was the thing that was preventing you from doing that stuff in the first place?
I guess I hadn't reached that breaking point where I had to change. I was in that pattern, locked in that pattern, and then something had to stop. So I would say, hey, I'm not going down this pattern anymore. I'm going to shift and do something different. And I guess until I reached that breaking point, I wasn't motivated to do it. But then I didn't really have a choice after that. So I recommend to people, don't wait until you reach a breaking point to make the changes. It's much easier just to make the changes, just decide to do it early versus waiting to a breaking point.
And then what are some other barriers that you feel hold introverts back specifically from having like either the kind of social situation or dating situation that they want?
So the social and dating situations, I'd say a lot of people will first say time. Well, where would I have the time to go out and do this? I'm really busy. And so that's one thing that people always say, but there's always time as everyone always hears way too much. Well, we all have 24 hours in a day. Oprah has the same 24 hours that you have and all that sort of stuff. And you say, well, yeah, but we do have the same 24 hours. So there are many ways to use your time wisely. And then, people wonder, so it is in regards to dating, they'd say, well, where would I go? Where do I go to meet these people? And then if I do get there, then what do I do when I'm there? How do I talk to people? What am I supposed to do to be interesting, to be approachable when I'm there? So, if somebody doesn't know what to do or they think they're going to look like an idiot, then they say, well, I can just sit here where I'm safe, or I can go there and look like an idiot. I don't want to look like an idiot. And then there's also, I remember, here's one of the barriers is, so back to like high school experiences, and this could even apply to current experiences when you're asking someone out. So say I was asking out a girl and she said yes. So one of the things is if I say, hey, would you like to go to lunch sometime? And she says no, then I go, oh, okay, cool. Well, I tried my best. I said, would you like to go? She said no. So then I'm off the hook and I can just go on about my life. But if she says yes, and they go, oh no, now I actually have to go. I have to actually do something now. What am I supposed to do with this lunch? So now it's this whole thing. So you're kind of hoping, well, maybe, if she says no, then I can at least say, well, I tried. And apparently it must have been, she likes guys with hair. I don't have hair, it could be whatever. But if she says yes, then I'm like, oh no. And now I have to go out there and risk being on the spot. And now I have to do I look cool? What am I, so there's this whole psychological thing where even if you win, you're still like, well, I got the answer I wanted, but now I'm in this whole situation. So that holds a lot of people back. This is a huge barrier, is what if she doesn't say no? What if she says yes?
Yeah. I think that was mine for the longest time, was like, when I'd finally ask her out and they'd say yes, I'd be like, oh crap, I was just, because my whole life I'm just waiting to hear the yes, and I get the yes, it's like, yes, there's stuff that comes after it. Oh no. What do
Right.
you do?
I have to clean up the place now. I have to try to, find a nice shirt.
Right.
What am I going to talk about on the thing? Yeah, there's so much stuff. And you're just beginning.
Yeah. And speaking of that, like, because the thing about talking, like, my biggest thing was always trying to come up with conversation. And so in your book, you actually teach introvert, shy people, socially awkward people, how to be more comfortable going into these various settings around strangers and around women. And this is a very hard thing because, like, I wasn't very much a big talker early on. I mean, I do a
Right.
show now, but like back then, it was like I'd go on dates and have lists of things to talk about, like in my pocket, so I can look at them and see what's going on. So, like, what are some key tips and strategies that you would have for men in these situations that are going into it, wanting to try to be more open and be more social, or ask up more women, but like they're just kind of like, I don't have a strategy for this.
Right. So there's two things that I have to say about that. One is you don't have to feel like you have to talk all the time. You can have long uh, periods of quietness and silence. I've had compliments from women saying, a lot of guys feel they have to be talking all the time, and I appreciate that you can just enjoy the moment. And I say, yes, I enjoy the moment. And then I'm thinking in my mind, well, I didn't have anything to say, So, but if you do want to talk, I know there's a lot of things out there where there's like decks of cards that have icebreakers, and there's books that say, hey, do all this like comedy improv stuff, but you might not be good at that. So
Mhm.
the thing is, so you don't have to memorize anything. How you can just be natural is observations. I like to just comment about something that I notice. And so it doesn't have to be about the person. It could be about the person. So you could say, hey, I like those earrings. Is there a story about those? And maybe there's a story. Her grandmother went to Guatemala and got them from a street vendor and brought them back or something. Or it could be about the thermostat. There you could say, hey, they're keeping this place a little hot in here. I remember.
Temperature's always good. Temperature is always good.
Yes, there's a movie in the 80s where they turned the thermostat up at a frat party and everyone took their clothes off. You think that's what they're trying to do to us here? I would have wore better underwear, something. There's so much that you can, it could be about the food. Last time I was here, they had the giant pretzels with the cheese, but I don't see them this time. Do you think that someone did something weird with the cheese and now they don't allow us to get the pretzels? There's and any of these things can segue into other like conversation things. And then, so just observation about anything they're wearing, anything around. Hey, there's art in the men's room. First men's room I've ever seen with actual art on the wall. This place must be pretty fancy. There's so many things that you can bring up. Or it can be, you can listen to what they say. And now naturally they might be really horrible at conversation themselves, so they might not say anything interesting. But if they do, then you can always just say, okay, here's something out of the two sentences they said. I'm going to take this one thing they mentioned, something about the Kentucky Derby with the hats. So I'm going to go in on the hat thing, see where we can go with that. So then you start, hey, do you have any hats? Do you do the big crazy hat thing? What do you think about mint juleps? Whatever. And then see if you get a bite on there. And if you do, then you can just keep digging, keep going into that. But yeah, observations, listen to what they say, try to find something in that sentence and go for it.
Yeah, that's always the hardest too. And like, especially like if an introvert's going out with another introvert, like early on, it can be really hard to be like, one of us has got to like continue this conversation.
Right.
And as the guy, woman will usually expect you to like try to come up with something to say. So that's definitely a good thing to know how to do. Now also in your book, you say, let's see, one of the things that you mentioned is that introverts need to get into the act of just showing up. Like, you need to just, when you get invited someplace, don't stay at home, just learn to just go and just experience that. Obviously, there's been a lot happening in the world where some of that's been a bit curtailed. So how can an introvert still do that wants to get out there, but there's, things closed down and things aren't happening as much as they were before?
So here's what I suggest that people do right now in these times of lockdown where, so it's actually it's the golden age of introverts to just hang out, and we can use that as an
really
excuse.
is.
I'd really love to go out, but I can't because, the COVID thing, I got to stay home. But at the same time, here's some things that you can do. So you can first maintain the relationships that you already have. So go through your email, your personal email and your work email, and your phone contacts list. Go through all of them and make a list of everyone you have not touched base with in the last 3 months, and then reach out to them. And it's the perfect excuse, because with the lockdowns, you can just say, hey, I'm just checking up on you. How are you? How's the family? What's been going on? It's been a while. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. And because people like that you thought of them, and this kind of brings you to the top of their mind, and this strengthens the relationships you already have. And what I like to do is I like to do if you can do like a video chat, but if not, then I will do videos. So I'll just record a video of me because I think it's more personal. They can see me and just say, hey, I was just checking up on you. Just wanted to send a quick video and see how you were doing. How's the new baby or whatever was going on with them last time you talked to them. And then if I can't do the video, then I'll do a voice message. And then if I can't do that, I try to stay away from the texts and the emails. But, some people, depending on the relationship you have with them, some people will be email people. Some people will be voice.
I always tell, you've seen the show. I always tell my audience, texting kills relationships. But really, for women, it kills attraction. I've read so many stories of like, this dude won't stop texting me. And it's really not like, it doesn't feel personal at all, to your point.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely just reach out to them and, firm up those relationships. And then another thing you can do is the getting pre-known thing that we talked about is, so anything that you might be interested in, and it doesn't have to, so it can either be interested in the actual activity, or it could be interested in the type of people that might go to the activity. So for example, beekeeping, let's say. So if I can do beekeeping meetups. And so I know there's no meetups happening really right now, but if I go to beekeeping meetups online, then every meetup thing has like an online forum. So you get on that, and then I can start talking with people that like you can see the hierarchy, the movers and shakers, who's the most vocal on there. So then you piggyback on them, make some comments, ask some questions, and you just kind of get to know them on there. So then your name, they'll say, oh, Nick has had some insightful questions about honey harvesting or whatever. And then later on, after this whole thing thaws out and I want to go to one of these things, now I can say, hey, Jim, hey, Sarah, I'm coming to one of the things. Now they'll be looking for me when I'm there, and I'm looking for them. So I'm not just walking in blind. Also, if it was one of my things, I went to a private pilots meetup thing. I said, I'm not a pilot. Yeah, I'm not a pilot. But I said, I would like to meet some pilots. I think that would be a cool group of people to meet. So I started on the online thing, started chatting with some pilots. And then I said, hey, I'm coming to one of the things. And then I show up, and then, people say, hey, so what do you fly? And I'm like, no, I'm not a pilot. I just wanted to meet pilots. And then I'm there, and now I have pilot friends. And this could also work for your dating, depending on what you are like. If there's a certain type of woman that you want to date, you'd say, well, what sort of event would that type of woman go to? And you figure that out. So if it's going to be at art auctions or something like that, then get into the art auction world on their online forums. And then when this thaws out, you can show up and actually have some contacts. And it doesn't have to be the woman that you want to date. It could just be anyone there. So when you show up, you can show up and actually have somebody there that's expecting you and say, hey, James. And then you walk in, you can talk to them, and then you can look around, and then you're already known by somebody there. They might introduce you to your dream girl, or they just might introduce you to some other people. And I would say some of the best ways to date are when somebody does like a matchmaking, somebody knows you and then they know someone else and they say, hey, I got to introduce you.
That third party validation. Yeah.
Right. They vouch for you. So that way it's not just you going, hey, what's going on? They say, hey, I think you'd be good for Janine. And then but instead of just trying to hook up a blind date, they just say, I'm going to have like a house barbecue, and she's gonna be there. I'll have you over. I'm not telling her anything. You just both be in the same area, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. And then that way, there's no pressure. You don't have to act all a certain way. You just show up. eat some brats and then be yourself. You can see them in their natural environment. They can see you. And then if it kind of goes, then they can say, yeah, well, after you left, she asked about you. Or you can say, yes, I like her. Or you can say, no, that's not,
That's not the one.
That's not for me.
The one.
So yes, but it all starts from, getting pre-known at these places.
Now, when you're meeting up with people, whether it's like you're meeting up with a new girl for the first time or you're meeting people in these social situations, one of the things you mentioned in your book actually is about openers, about how and this is so true, people have the mundane thing of so what do you do, or where are you from, and it's just very, very, it just doesn't make you stick out. So you suggest in your book that introverts should not do that. So what kinds of things should they be asking or saying to have a more powerful effect?
So those things are called, they're forgettable conversations, I say, because when you say the same thing that everyone else says, you don't stick out. So you just blend in with everyone else, and that person's not going to remember you. And you want them to remember you because, you want to be seen. You don't have to go way over the top, but you want to be remembered and noticed. So you're going to just want to come in there and they'll remember if you don't ask them, hey, so what do you do? Because everyone else that evening has asked them that. So if you say something else like, what's up with that belt? It could be the the observation thing again, or it could be something like, I like to ask advice, so.
Really? Well, what kind of advice?
So it doesn't have to be deep, because you might not know that they're a plastic surgeon or whatever, because you didn't ask what they did. So it could be something like, hey, I see you got those sandwiches. You have the two different types. Which one? I haven't gone to the sandwiches yet. Which one of those sandwiches is the best one? What do you recommend? And then they'll say, oh yeah, get the cucumber sandwich. And then when you go get it, they're going to wonder, is it okay? Because if you come back and say, hey, listen, I trusted you with the sandwich recommendation and you failed me, or you could say, no, that was really good. So I like to, come up with something like, I'm in town for, 3 days. I don't know if you're familiar with the restaurants here, but I'm trying to find the most authentic restaurant that represents the city, if you are in a new town, or even if you live in that town, they don't know that, that you know all the restaurants already. You can just say, hey, do you have any restaurant recommendations? I'm trying to get the authentic meal here. Then they'll have a recommendation. You can kick it off like that. So it doesn't have to be anything about their work. You're going to learn about that. That'll come out sooner or later.
Right.
And so
I think another thing introverts have a problem with is, we like to typically have deep conversations, but when you're starting out meeting somebody, you kind of really can't do that. So how can you break from the uncomfortableness of not trying to go deep right away?
Right. Yeah. So it's just, like the advice thing, or just making the observation thing. Like I usually will look and see how somebody's dressed, and then I'll either bring up something about that, or I'll bring up something about the food, or something about one of the, if there's a speaker at the event, I might say, have you seen this person? This person seems cool, but I don't know anything about this other person. Have you heard anything about that person? That person seems a little shady. You can have fun with it. I don't know about this one, but this other person is cool for sure. And I do that on airplanes too, where when the pilot comes on, they'll say, yes, your captain so-and-so with the co-pilot so-and-so. When they name the co-pilot, I always look over and go, oh no, I know that guy. I can't believe we're flying with him. I don't know him, but we have a laugh. And then I say, no, I don't know him. I'm just joking around. But it opens up the thing, because, or you can say, yes, like when the captain says, yeah, this is, Captain McGillicuddy or whatever, you go, yes, oh, that's one of the good ones. Oh yeah, we're in good hands today. And they're like, oh, you know him? You go, no, I have no idea who that is. But nice. It just does this. It's a nice little light icebreaker where, you can let people know you don't take yourself too seriously, and you can just. I'll also ask people, hey, do you have any cool projects coming up? Are you working on anything cool, or is there? I'm thinking about going on a vacation. Do you have any and then you kind of have to give them a little bit more information. Thinking about going on vacation, and I want to do something probably close to the water, some kind of beach sort of thing. Do you know anything about that? Yeah, once again, to the advice thing, because people really love giving advice, and so they open up and they'll tell you, oh yeah, me and my wife went to Cozumel, and this is what happened. And you go, oh really? So how was that? And what do you recommend? What should I not eat? Can I drink the water? All this. And people, and so now you haven't just got into, what do you do? Oh, dentist. Oh really? What's the largest tooth you ever pulled? And
right.
You don't have to get into that. You can talk about the fun stuff first, and then later on, maybe if you're sitting down having dinner or something, maybe if it's one of those sorts of events, then they'll say, yes, I have a dental practice, wherever, and then you can get into your weird dentistry questions. But
right.
You start off.
What are some other things that people should be avoiding in conversations? Like as they're trying to get to know somebody, whether it's a date or just another person, like what things should they try to steer clear from trying to do?
I would say just not getting too personal too quickly. I'd say keep it really kind of light and surface stuff instead of trying to get into their business, really like their personal business. Some people have been able to do that with success. I've known some people that go straight into some really deeply personal questions right out the gate, and they are able to pull it off. But I would not suggest, if you're not really skilled at conversation, to try to do it, because it can come off really badly if you're not really good at that type of conversation. So I'd say just keep it really light. Don't go into any super personal stuff about hey, are those hair plugs? Did you get they're like, what? Or anything like that, or you look a lot. I thought you were much older than you are. You seem like a really old person. Nothing.
Yeah.
So bad. Nothing like that. Just
oh my God.
keeping it light.
Now, you mentioned in your book something called the Duke cookie face. What exactly is that, and how can introverts use that as they're trying to better socialize?
So this will be really good for all of your listeners, because this is how you can look cool, confident, and approachable in all social situations. I had a buddy who said, I wish I could see myself. I wish I could see myself to see that I don't look awkward, make sure that I look okay when I'm somewhere. How can I do that? I said, okay, do cookie face. This is how it works, is because, your body language, you want your body language to be, open and casual. You don't want to be stiff and weird and you look like a killer or anything. So how it works is this, I came up with this many years ago. I was at a holiday party of a girlfriend's corporate holiday party. And I said, okay, she knows everyone here. I don't know anybody here except for her. And all her coworkers are going to be curious on who she brought. They're all going to be looking at me, sizing me up. I don't know when they're going to be looking at me. So I need to make sure that I have a good impression. So I said, okay, so I'm sitting down. So how would I know that my body language is good? So I said, well, if I was a nobleman, so a duke, let's say, how would a duke sit? And then so a duke, you're not the king, so you're not running anything, but you're up there, so you're good. And so you have a good posture, but you're not going to be rigid and stiff. You're just going to be like good posture, but relaxed. Hey, I'm sitting like a duke. And then for your face, because you don't want to look like you just ate a bad piece of candy or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to look nice. So I said, okay, what's the perfect level of facial expression? Because you don't want to look like a psycho killer. You don't want to be like overly happy. We're like, why is that guy so happy? That's weird. So you just want to have a soft glow. So I said, okay, so if you imagine walking to your best friend's house, and then when the door opens, you walk through the door, you're hit with the smell of fresh baked cookies, and you love cookies, and they're going to offer you some cookies any moment now. So cookies are coming. And so you're not going to just be like grin, and you'll just have a soft smile like, hey, cookies are coming. So you have the Duke, you're sitting like the Duke, or a Duchess if you're a lady, but for the gents, you're sitting like a Duke, and then you have the cookies are coming. So Duke cookie face. So if you do the Duke cookie face, you're always going to look open, cool, calm, and approachable. And so you're sitting there, you have it. And then if you lock eyes with somebody, telepathically say to them, cookies are coming. And so that, and then do like a little nod. And then so for them, I don't think that they're going to receive cookies are coming.
Right.
But they're just going to think, oh, well, hey, what a friendly person. And so when I did this at that holiday party, I only got a chance to meet maybe 3 or 4 people, but everybody else was, eyeballing me and all that. And so at the end of it, my girlfriend at the time said, everybody loved you. What did you do? And I said, cookies are coming. And she said, what are you talking about? So, so this technique, I've used this over and over. And this, no matter where I was at a concert, and for your dating interest audience, I was at a concert. I went by myself because I didn't want to have to deal with anybody. I just wanted to go watch the concert and go home. But I went by myself, and then these 3 gorgeous women, I was doing my Duke cookie face, sitting there by myself, and then 3 beautiful women came and they sat with me and talked with me the whole time. And I was like, yeah, the Duke cookie face. And I was at a restaurant waiting for a pickup order, and I was doing it. And this beautiful woman came in and she started just talking to me. And so they were approaching me, talking to me, because I am sitting, so I'm not sitting there on my phone. I'm not sitting there scowling like, where's my order? I am sitting there like, cookies are coming. And that makes people say, hey, you have this energy about you, and then you're easy for them to come up and talk to. So that, especially for the guys listening to this, if they want more women to approach them, if you use this, you will be much more approachable than if you're sitting there looking at your phone, or if you're, just looking at the floor or something. Just look around, cookies are coming.
Well, plus too, sometimes the guys will have that thing on their face where, especially introverts, like if we're not sure who we want to talk to, we just kind of we don't think it's like a mean look, but it's just kind of like, you're like staring off into space, but it's not an approachable look to have on your face at all.
Right.
So
right.
just to know that, to be like, okay, my resting face needs to now be this Duke cookie face. That is so freaking helpful. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So one more question here. So, your book has a lot of good tips in it, and there's a chance that an introvert might read the book and they're going to start trying to do these things. But, when you first start something, it doesn't feel natural. So they might feel like an imposter. So how can an introvert that's trying to do this stuff or listen to your lessons and whatnot, get rid of that imposter syndrome, especially when it comes to like trying to talk to more people and talk to more women?
Right. So the imposter syndrome, there's several things, because it's a big deal for a lot of people. So one of the things I try to tell people is, hey, you're there too. They're there and you're there. So if you showed up, you're just the same as everyone else. But then you can say, but Nick, easy for you to say. I still feel it. So another thing is that I really like to do is I think, well, hey, this isn't real. This is a simulation. So you can do anything. So, but don't go crazy or anything. But if you just think, hey, this is just a practice simulation that I'm in. So if I'm at the Monaco Grand Prix or something in a suite with Danica Patrick, and we're sitting there, I can say, this is an odd situation. But I said, well, this is just a simulation. Oh, a real scenario. I was in Sri Lanka in February, and my friend is a criminal defense attorney, and he invited me. He said, hey, we're having this party for criminal defense attorneys. Do you want to go? And I said, yes, because I knew, well, that's going to be a weird situation. That's going to be an imposter syndrome. Everyone's a top criminal defense attorney, and I'm just some dude there. And so I went, and I didn't try to act like a big shot or anything. I just, contributed where I could. And we talked about world events. We didn't talk about law or anything like that. I just did my Duke cookie face and
of course
went and just engaged on just whatever the topic of the day. And there's a lot of conversations where I said, I have no idea what's going on here. So I just sat there with my cookie face. And then when something did come up, then I would engage where I could. But, I didn't feel, I felt at home very quickly doing that. So, and also once again, I was like, well, this is like a simulation or a dream, because why would I be in Sri Lanka at a criminal defense attorney's party? That doesn't make any sense. So I can pretty much do whatever I want. And, I didn't strip down to my underwear and start running around or anything. I just said, let's play into the simulation the way that I'm supposed to. And it worked out really well.
Interesting too, is if it's a simulation too, it's like in a simulation, you can try out different things. And if it doesn't work, then you just know it doesn't work for the simulation, try something else versus like,
right.
I got to be me and I can't do, because it's like, it's all just testing. Everything's just testing stuff out.
Right. Another thing in that situation that you can do, and this also works when you're talking to women, is I try to think of, there's certain situations where I say, who do I know? Because usually you'll know somebody that would be good in that situation, where I say, hey, my friend Paul, I think would be really good in this situation. And then I say, well, what would he do? And then I say, okay, let me do whatever I think he would do. And then a lot of times, if I can just embody Paul for that moment, then I can get through it. And then I just say, do I have to be like this all the time? No, you could just do it just for that window of time, just to try it out and see if you can make it to the next section where you're trying to be.
Nice. Well, guys, the book is called An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. Nick, let us know where they can get the book, as well as anything else in terms of your website or anything else you have that you think the guy should know about.
Sure. So Amazon.com, you can pick up the book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination, on Amazon.com. And if you want to find out more about me and what I do, I have some coaching programs. I have an online course. You can go to connectedintrovert.com. That's connectedintrovert.com. And I even have a free mini masterclass on there that you can just go in and get some tips and tricks on there for free and check it out. So Amazon for the book and connectedintrovert.com for anything else you might want to find out.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nick, for coming by and allowing me to interview you today. This has been a great experience, and I definitely learned a lot. I will be using the Duke cookie face from now on when I'm out in the world, because I don't want to have the mean look on my face.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem. And guys, like I said, always, for more of these shows, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can go there for one-on-one coaching, check out some of my ebooks. If you guys have a question or anything you want me to talk about on this show, you can write me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. You can also go to the website and click on the contact tab. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at protestparty.tv, so you can join us there, join other people in the chat stream, the chat live. And thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next broadcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you soon. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.
Jones in the house, my love's in the house. Uncle Jones in the house, my love's in the house.
I said VOTE on November 3, Biden and Harris, cause that Donald Trump weak. Yeah, I'm voting for Biden and Harris. Mail-in ballot or the polls for Biden and Harris. Gotta save the nation's soul with Biden and Harris. Joseph Biden is the next in charge, taking back that White House yard. Kamala Harris is his running mate, fighting back against QAnon. They go low, but we go high. Look at his record, look at her drive. Boost the morale, close the divide. This country is hurt, Biden's your guy. Trump don't cheat, ain't no surprise. Killing the post office from the inside. He trying to stop your big fat vote so we can keep telling lies. What a team, it's a dream. Make me wanna shout and scream. Pence and Trump, so obscene. But Joe and Kamala, so fresh and so clean.
Gotta be H&B, vote on November 3. Don't stay home for my years of the lunacy. I do not want to do it, I'm about to lose my sanity. But Joe is so boring. Oh really? Well, that's cool with me. Statesmanship, they both drift. Climate change, gonna get that fixed. Military budget, gonna get more change. The troops ain't gotta worry about a dang thing. Donate your cash or your time for Biden and Harris. You bout to die, stay alive. Vote Biden and Harris, so love the nation. Who gon' save it? Vote Biden and Harris. If you want change, send your vote and vote Biden and Harris.
Look, we need a straight shooter, we need a case closer, need to free from jail all the weed smokers. We need Trump fired cause he's mediocre. With Republicans, they gon' reach over. If you in college and earning your credits, they'll take your loan, lower your payments. Got a small business, well, they're trying to help it. All of the farmers, they'll be well protected. They won't take your guns or leave you broke. Joe and Kamala, bringing back hope. They're going to hunt down a new cure for corona and not treat this thing like a hoax. Their campaign's on fire, they move about calmly while Trump has no focus. He moves like a zombie, he's racist like the cops in Wisconsin. And let's not forget he supported the Nazis.
Kamala, she a boss chick, aka BP pick little girls, they can dream it. Teaming up with Joe, give us something to believe in. About to be a fight, Trump and Pence take a beating. The White House, Joe's the one we needin'. Been up in there once, he's a proven leader. Big P stands for presidential, making good decisions and he's got credentials. Donald tried man, but he can't hang. His response to Rona caused death and pain. Got non-believers making grave visits. If you don't believe me, ask Herman Cain.
Yeah, I'm voting for Biden and Harris. Mail-in ballot or the polls for Biden and Harris. Gotta save the nation's soul with Biden and Harris. Get back on top, gotta swap for Biden and Harris. Mike Pence and Donald, they both flop. Vote Biden and Harris. I'm talking va, va, va. That's Biden and Harris. This Kofefi's gonna stop with Biden and Harris. Yeah.
Uncle Joe's in the house, Carmelo's in the house. Uncle Joe's in the house, Carmelo's in the house. Uncle Joe's in the house, Carmelo's in the house.
My dog Carlos, that's my dog from the Power 106 days. That's one of our P1s over there. Callie in here. Callie, you calling shot time and you driving home? Sheesh. So we gotta do shots in the Discord now because a hell of people be calling shot time and they like not even drinking at that moment. Got JR in here. Got my brother Spin Dizzy. Got my dog Ray Styles in here. We got Basic in the building. BC, Barry Flow and the Mod Angels. You know how we do, man. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Take out to the bay real quick. We doing like a crate roulette type. Set today, man. I'm just picking random shit, you know what I mean?